Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main event. You're here with just me, Daniel, today. Ed doesn't exist. Only joking, Ed. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. I hope I do exist. I've lit the fire and everything for you. Thank you for
I
having me
know
on.
you've really set the mood. I'm
Hmm.
feeling quite nice. I'm kind of gutted that we're recording this because I was just feeling really intimate, just me and
Well,
you. Yeah.
we can stop recording at the end and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I believe this can only last a maximum of 40 minutes. So
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's good.
yeah,
We have to be succinct then.
we'll reach peak anticipation, and then we'll do like a main event after dark, like they used to do with Hollyoaks and stuff like that. We'll get one of those episodes on the go.
Never watched
Uh,
Hollyoaks in my life, but I appreciate it.
uh, Ed,
Hmm.
thanks so much for jumping on. You are one of the new contestants for our main event Champions League. Well done
Thank you.
on getting this. It was your recent ranks have been very impressive. Both top 1K finishes, 700 and something, 800 and something is the specific numbers that we've received.
Hmm.
Uh, so, what's different between UCL and FPL? Because they seem to have different fortunes.
Yeah, I think I what I love about UCL and why I've probably done quite well. First of all, you've got to know a bit more about football, I think, to do well in UCL. I think if you know about football, you're going to do better. If you're willing to find out, who started the last 5 games for some random team in Bulgaria, then you're going to do a bit better than others. And also, I think that the ability to take risks. So the thing that lets me down in FPL sometimes is I like to take risks, and when they go wrong, you're stuffed. In FPL, if you take a risk and it goes wrong, you're stuffed. We all know it, right? In Champions League, you can take risks. So the first game of each week, you can take a huge risk if you want, put the captaincy on someone bizarre, and then you can always recover and go for a safe option next. So I think I've done well because, and the reason, people can do well in this game is if you take a risk on a punt that you think is going to do well and it comes off, then it's come off, brilliant. If it doesn't, go for a safer pick next and then just join the herd and then just if you get that right a few times a season, even a couple of times a season, you can really shoot up the ranks.
I have noticed that you do take risks in general. And I think you're right. FPL is one of those games that you always hear it's 38 game week. So, it's until you use your first wild card and then from your first wild card to your second wild card. It's these periods. It's for chess players. It's for people smarter than the average football
It's for
fan.
nerds, let's just say it.
Yeah. And UCL is obviously different to that. If a player gets to the final, they're only playing 13 games. So there is a real room for risk. We have a thing on this podcast where we like to captain a wing back on match day one on the Tuesdays because why not? Why not?
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
I was going to ask you what it was that you thought for the previous seasons has allowed you to get into such high ranks. I think you've answered it. Is there anything else that you use other than your own genius?
Yeah, well, other than that, no, I do think it's just putting a bit of time in each week, making sure you know if someone's injured, if someone's not. It's not that much though. I wouldn't be thinking about it all week. You really, the last 2 seasons where I've done quite well, I've just the day before thought about it, looked at what's happened in each major league, seen who's top of the league, that sort of thing. Then you only get 3 transfers a week or whatever, so just making those decisions, and then just going for it. And it just has been the take a risk, then play safe. That's worked.
Now, one of the major things with this game is chips. So obviously there are two chips: limitless wildcard, box standard wildcard. Do you have a strategy in mind this year that you've already set your team up for this year? Have you already set up a team?
I have set up a team just before coming on here. I've kind of finished it. I haven't finished it. It'll change a few times, but um, I think a lot of people are going to be going wildcard Limitless 2, Wildcard 3, aren't they? So they're going to have a free hit essentially, not a free tit, a free
I mean,
hit.
with your like free tits, Ed,
Well, that's
that
a
will be a
different thing.
sponsorship for next year. Hopefully, free tits for everyone.
That's a different website. Um, Free hit 1, Limitless 2, Wildcard 3, because 3 and 4 there's those mirror image fixtures, aren't they? That are quite
Yeah.
easy, and then 5 and 6 they haven't really got a plan for that, but it's just muddled to the end. I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm pretty set on mine. I'm going to create a team for the first 2 game weeks. So that's what I'm focusing on. I'm going to limitless in match day 3, and then I will wildcard into 4. So mine's a bit different. The reason I'm going for that is, first of all, I think you can create a pretty good first two game week team, focusing on teams like Chelsea, who have a good start, Tottenham, Milan, I've wrote it down the list, Barcelona, even with their first fixture, particularly Benfica with their first fixture, Dortmund with their first fixture. You can create a pretty good team, and with 3 transfers, make it acceptable in game week 2 as well.
But you get 2. I think you get 2 transfers, I believe.
Do you get 2 transfers? I can't even remember the rules of the game.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the thing. I'm reminding myself as we go. Yeah, I'm reminding myself as we go. But the limitless in 3, I just think is I can't look away from it. The fixtures in game week 3 are unbelievable, and I just think the limitless chip can be so powerful, and the home factor is so powerful in Champions League football that when these big teams are playing at home, I want to have the limitless, and that week I haven't got it in front of me, but 4 or 5 of the big teams playing at home. And people have said, oh yeah, but 3 and 4, they're the same fixtures again, so why don't you wildcard into both of them? But they're not the same fixtures. They're away in game week 4. And that's a huge difference in Champions League. When you go to these random small clubs with these crazy atmospheres, it makes a huge difference. So I'm basically basing my game around the limitless, and I'm working out the wildcard around it. A lot of people are doing the opposite. They're going, when should I wildcard, and then when should I limitless? I'm doing it the other way around.
That's really interesting, because I've also thought about, like everyone else, when do I wildcard? When's the best to set up my team for longevity? And then when can I use my limitless? I'm actually not that bothered about limitless. Limitless got me a worse score than I would have got normally last year from my wildcard. So it has been interesting. My early thoughts have been to wildcard into, not to limitless, just wildcard, and then have them 4 fixtures just with a great team, and then I can limitless in 6 or limitless in the knockouts. I don't really like limitlessing in the knockouts, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it'd probably just be in 6 to get back to the fixtures that we've got now. But obviously there'll be reverse, and there will be some good fixtures.
Say that again. Sorry, you would wildcard when? Sorry, in 6, in 3. Sorry,
in 2,
and then limitless at some point, judging as you go, sort of thing.
Yeah. And mainly with the thought being to limitless in 6 unless it all goes pear-shaped.
Yeah.
And I know that there's loads of rotation then, generally, but there's some tight groups with good players. Like if you look at players like Pedro Gonçalves, last season their group was still going and he was on form. So there'll still be Danjuma, players like that will pop up. Yeah, exactly. And it's not necessarily the most expensive players that do best in this game. If we look like last season, Nkunku, Gonçalves, Danjuma were some of the top midfielders in the game all around. Now
Nkunku is like one of the best. I can't believe it's been bought by a United or a Chelsea or I can't believe, or Newcastle. Come on.
Well, I was saying it for a while, and I can't believe he's still a midfielder on the game, because he's definitely just a striker. So I don't know what's going on there. Classic gaming hub.
A lot of people are thinking of captaining him game week 1, aren't they? I think I am.
I am. Although for the benefit of this, we are recording on a Saturday evening. They've just been absolutely thumped 4-0 off Eintracht Frankfurt tonight.
Fantastic. I've changed my mind. I'm captaining Alvarez, because surely he's going to start after Haaland's played another 90 minutes. Isn't he?
I wouldn't try and second guess Pep, but I think you're giving a little inkling into your team. Why don't we go into your team, Ed?
Interestingly, actually, currently it doesn't have Alvarez because I'm still thinking it through, but I will read my team. Okay. So can we get it on screen? Can we do that? Can you do that? Will that happen or not?
Be able to do that. Aaron will be able to do that. He's a master at this sort of thing.
I will send you the screenshot, but here's my team. Starting on the pitch, Harry Kane, and here you go. This is the slot I'm not sure about. This next striker slot. Timo Werner currently. Okay.
Okay, so you've gone for Harry Kane's a Wednesday player, right?
Harry Kane plays on the Wednesday, yes.
Timo's on the Tuesday.
Yes. My third striker, who's currently on the bench because he's a Wednesday player as well, is Lewandowski.
Okay.
They're playing Barcelona against Pleasant, or it sounds like a team that sounds like a sneeze. It's like Pleasant, something like that. And then my midfield is Jorginho, Nkunku, Luis Diaz, and Kulusevski, and Weigl, currently at Benfica, who's 4.5. I'm probably going to change that.
Doesn't play. He doesn't play.
Yeah. So he's just a placeholder, basically. He's another placeholder. And then my defence of Cancelo, Reece James, and then there's 2 Dortmund slots for 2 defenders from Dortmund. I will change them depending on looking at the team at that early kickoff, because we'll see the team. So currently it's Meunier and Guerrero. They're at home against Copenhagen. I'm backing them for a clean sheet. I mean, maybe it'll happen, maybe not. I might change that, but currently that's what I'm on. And then my 5th one is Araujo, or however you pronounce that, at Barca.
Araujo, yeah, Barca.
And then in goal, currently, here's the thing. Do you know how in FPL everyone started with the 2 Leicester keepers for 4.0?
Yeah.
Well, I've got 2 4.0 goalkeepers.
Can I guess them?
Yeah. Well, there's only 2 that are even options.
Yeah. Peran.
Yeah.
One of them, and Gerbic, the other.
Yeah. They're the only 2, both because of injury. Szczesny sounds like he's out for still a couple of weeks, it sounds like, I think. Yeah. Is that right? And then...
first game. So you're counting probably on Gerbic for that second game against Porto on the Wednesday.
Yeah, and we're just going off Oblak's been injured tonight, isn't it? Or yesterday, or when was it? Was it a few days ago?
Today it was.
Yeah,
right injury.
So we're waiting to hear on that. But if he is off, I'm definitely going with 4.0 goalkeepers, because it just gives you 1.5 million more to spend. So that's my team. So basically off the bench, I'll have coming on for the second round, Gerbic, Kulusevski, and Tottenham have Marseille at home, Lewandowski against Pleasant, and Luis Diaz against Napoli away. Now that Luis Diaz one, I might change. It's just I felt a bit weird not having a Liverpool player. So I might change that, but there we go.
Yeah. So interesting, because it's very, very different to other teams.
I don't look at other teams, otherwise I end up trying to be the same as them.
Well, no, that's good. I think it's good that it's different, because I think there's definitely a template already with the teams. So I suppose, obviously, the 2-4 million goalkeepers thing is a big talking point. If you are... when did you say you were looking to wildcard normally? Match day 4? And limit this
if I stuck to my thing, it would be match day 4, yeah.
So, obviously, we'd be counting on the other 2 goalkeepers remain injured. By the looks of it, I think they probably will be.
Yeah, but even if they're not, I'm happy to use a transfer on a keeper. You know, I don't mind that.
The 2 Dortmund defenders thing. Who's their second fixture against?
It's not a top one. I think it's City, isn't it, or something like that. Hang on, let me just get it up. I've got them here. Hang on, it is. Yeah, Man City away. So not great. As I said, you know, I will probably the plan of having 2 there is to bank 2 clean sheets game week 1, and probably use I'll then obviously have to use. Well, I wouldn't have to, but use a transfer on one of them. I don't mind that. I like banking. The reason I've gone for it is because they're the early kickoff on the first game of the season, and to get 2 sure starters is just such a great feeling. So, and they're against Copenhagen at home. They could get a clean sheet. So that's my current thinking. Is it long-term thinking? No, not yet, not at all. So I need to look at it and think of it again. This is my first sort of draft, and I do need to do a second layer of thinking in terms of the Timo Werner slot, the things that are up in the air. The Timo Werner slot. Weigl, who's not going to start and not going to play, is a 4.5 slot that I need to work on. I've still got 1.5 million in the bank, so I can get that up to a 6 million guy. And I know a lot of people, I think I've seen, not that I've looked at other people's teams to kind of copy, but I've seen, I think, don't you have the other Benfica midfielder? Is it?
João Mario.
João Mario, and I think he's 6 million, so I could go to him.
6 million. They do have a 4.5 million starter as well. Can't remember his name now. Florentino, I think, is one of his 2 names. But the other 4.5 million midfielder, he does play for them every game. So if you want to stick a 4.5 million Benfica midfielder in there, you can still have one. Yeah. Like I say, if you want to go up to that 6 million penalty taker, you can also go for him. I think the most glaring omission for a team is Ajax.
Yeah. Rangers. They got Rangers at home.
Rangers have just been battered 4-0 away at Celtic today. Bergwijn, another couple of goals, but they've also got some really interesting defenders. So their right back Wrench, 4.5 million. He's got a couple of attacking returns this season, but they've also got a starting £4 million defender, Bassi, centre back. So if you wanted to save a few pennies,
Gold dust.
wanted to save a few pennies, especially when I think moving forward, Tavares at 4 million is going to be really good for Marseille, and Marcano at Porto is going to be good for 4 million, but maybe just not the best two first games for them. I think this could be a good player to get in for the first game, and then you can swap to a like for like 4 million for the second. If that's what you wanted to do, maybe.
Well, I tell you what, if I take out Cancelo, who I was kind of thinking, should I play? Because I know obviously Cancelo is great, he scored the other day. But City's first two fixtures aren't brilliant. I could see it being very, very tight and conceding away against Sevilla, and then I could see it Dortmund at home. I could see them conceding. It's not like they're not conceding at the moment. City,
yeah,
three against us. They conceded again tonight. They conceded last week. So Cancelo, suddenly you're just relying on attacking returns if they are conceding goals. And last year, he looks great and he's got loads of great stats and everything. What, 6 assists and 1 goal against Newcastle last season? And I know he's already scored this season. But
1 goal, 1 assist this year, I think, in 6 games. It's hard because he is the top goal scoring defender in FPL this year. But I'm in agreement with you. To risk the pitchforks in real life, I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. I think I'd say he's overrated as an FPL asset. But I'm basing that off last season. Last season, he had these moments of being incredible, but and overall, he got a decent amount of points, right? A good amount of points. But for what he promised when you watched and what you thought he'd get was way more. I think he's supremely talented, but too often it just looks good, doesn't translate into stuff.
But that's what I mean. I'm not saying, when I say overrated, I don't mean he's not a very, very, very good player. Of course he is.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why he gets hooked off when he's playing against good players. There's a reason why he got dropped for a Champions League final and got subbed off at halftime in the semis. We called it for the Real Madrid game last year when he's up against good players. He's not particularly great, and he can do it against Burnley and Wolves and teams like this all day long.
Is he a winger?
Well, he is a winger. That's the thing. He gets played at fullback, but then does he have the attacking output to be a winger? Like, does he have that final ball, that final goal?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It is an interesting one. It clearly he's an unbelievable player. But yeah, I mean, if I took him out, right, and put Bassi in, as you just suggested, and then I could take out Weigl and put in, I could put in Bergwijn. Hang on.
This is the player that I thought that you may need because he's got 2 again today.
Well, if I do that, then I like Bergwijn. I liked him when he was at Spurs as well. If I do that, then I've got in midfield Bergwijn and Cuckoo, Jorginho, Kulusevski, and Diaz. That's pretty strong.
That's much better.
And then at the back, I've got the 2 Dortmund players who I'll think again on. I've got Reece James. The thing on Reece James, I know a lot of people have. I know you did a video. I was looking at your channel saying, "Is Reece James essential?" Did you say that, or is Cancelo essential?
It was more
you mentioned Reece James at some point in one of the things.
I think for the video, it was a Reece James versus Theo Hernandez kind of feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Reece James in myself at the minute, but
okay,
if because we get to see the starting lineups, if Chilwell starts, I'm playing him.
Yeah,
without a shadow.
What, again week 1? Will we get to see Chelsea?
Chelsea, I grabbed the early fixture.
Yeah,
so you may want other Chelsea players, maybe. But
do you know what that might? I didn't even notice that. Do you know what that might change my tactic to not 2 Dortmund defenders but 2 Chelsea, and I'll just get the 2 that I'll get 2 that certainly play. Or actually, no, I'll just do 1 Chelsea, 1 Dortmund. That's what I'll do, so that you know you're playing. But Reece James, anyway, back to Reece James. Reece James is obviously can explode. His ceiling is very high in terms of points in Premier League and Champions League. But first of all, he's been played at centre back 5 games or whatever. Secondly, Chelsea are conceding goals as well. Like, they're not. When Tuchel first came, it was unbelievable how solid defensively they were, and then it's all just kind of fallen apart the last 9 months for them defensively. So again, it's like the same thing as the Cancelo debate. You're just relying on attacking returns. So and he's expensive. He's 6 million. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to move away from Reece James.
Interesting. He's in mine at the minute purely because of the fixture against Zagreb. Do I trust Zagreb to score? Not really. I know that they have been great, but I also think they haven't had the easiest set of fixtures. West Ham attacking are still a good team. Spurs attacking are a good team. The Leeds game was awful, But I think one of Tuchel's problems, he does this a lot in the smaller games, or what he considers to be smaller games. He over manages. It's something that we've sort of mentioned before when he was at PSG and before he came to Chelsea, that he's a terrific coach, but not a great manager. We thought he'd have this podcast with me and Aaron discussing it, where we thought he's going to have such a good start and then give it 12 months and it's all going to just unravel. It's sort of working out that way just because of the type of personality that he is. If I see Chilwell playing, he got a goal and assist in 15 minutes or something today. And I think he's unbelievable anyway. And he's just one of my favourite assets to own in these games. Like, I don't care. Like, I just enjoy having him. You know what I mean?
Get injured.
But yes, you're right. Had him, he got injured.
Yeah, you're right though. He's like Callum Wilson. You know, you and me would love Callum Wilson for FPL, but he's just going to get injured. The thing with Chilwell though, you're right. If we see the team and he's in it, I think I'll probably go for him because he's fit and he's starting that game. He might go off injured, sure, but yeah, I think how much is he? 6 or 5.5?
5.5 as far as I'm aware. So he's cheaper than James.
Yeah,
I think they both got equal opportunity for output. So I'd just definitely go for Chilwell, personally.
Yeah, I suppose it's just a wait and see, isn't it? Because obviously Cucurella throws stuff in the mix, and yeah, we'll find out. But I hadn't noticed. Thanks for pointing that out. I hadn't noticed that Chelsea are one of the early fixtures, so that's great. Because that'll help us with if we're even thinking of someone like Aubameyang. How much is he? 9 million?
9 striker, and Sterling's 9.5. So do we look at those? Sterling's tough because I didn't catch much of the game today, but his ratings online have been particularly poor. And that's all I've got to go off, because I was busy watching. I watched the Newcastle game obviously this afternoon, so I can't go off anything other than some of the highlights I've seen. But
I think the interesting thing was, sorry, go on.
I've got Sterling in my team at the minute, and I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I would have had him in my team if they hadn't signed Aubameyang. But I think now they've signed Aubameyang, I think their game's going to change a bit, because obviously they've been playing a slightly false 9-y, strikery thing with either Sterling or Havertz or whatever. Aubameyang's obviously the player that Tuchel wanted. He's worked with him before. I just think, how is it going to change? Is Sterling going to get shoved out to the side now with Aubameyang through the middle? I don't know. I've no idea, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
So I think we need to wait and see what that Chelsea team is. That first, it's great that they're a team that we're going to see. That's an interesting one that we're going to be able to see. So, yeah. So if you've never played Champions League UCL before, then the first fixtures we get to see, and we can change right up to kickoff.
Yep.
So
the other early kickoff, as we mentioned, is Dortmund. Any sort of feelings that you want to go with one of their attackers / midfielders? Well,
I mean, maybe I'll see the team and think, oh, okay, you know, Sebastian Haller starts or something. I know he hasn't played for them yet. I don't think, has he? Has he been injured or something?
No, he has cancer. He has testicular. I think it's testicular. Might be prostate.
Okay, well, I probably won't put him in then, unfortunately.
No,
I don't think he'll be scoring. Oh, so, I remember that. Flipped. What, just after he signed or something?
Yeah, just after he signed. So best of luck to him, obviously. Wishing well, but they had to sign. They've signed a couple of players to replace him. Adeyemi's been playing out in the right wing. They signed, it's called Modeste up front. He's not very good. It's like bang average.
Right. Okay. So striker department has been decimated by cancer.
Yeah, they've got Mukoko.
Adeyemi, does he play on the right? Does he?
Adeyemi's been on the right whenever he has played, but he's been in and out.
Donny Marlin.
Donny Marlin's been on the left a lot. If he does play, like, they've been rotating the front quite a bit. I think the two sort of players that you'd look at is Bellingham, who's not really done much this season so far.
Royce.
So
interesting.
Royce on penalties, good player, can get a couple of assists. Is it what you want for that price?
How much is he? 7.5?
7.5, I believe.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. I think I'm going to just because I don't know who I'd go for, because there's no obvious. There's no obvious there, is there? I don't think, unless Royce. Maybe Royce is the most obvious, but I think I'll stay away. I think I'll stay away from their attack and try and just get a defender in, whether it's Guerrero or Meunier or Sewell or whoever it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with my team now, to be honest. The only question now, I think, for me is, first of all, whether to do the two Dortmund defenders or whether to change that. But second of all, the Timo Werner slot is 8 million. Currently is 8 million. I've got an 8 million striker slot. What would you do?
8 million. Oh God, you don't want to know what I would do, honestly.
Oh, I do. If it's bizarre, I love it. I love the more bizarre, the better.
Okay, so Ed, I
I
haven't
think I saw
decided
you
on my
put in a group
strikers.
chat. Haven't you got a striker below 6 million or something? Who is it? Is it
So
Makoko?
no, I've got Jutla, who is Bruges striker against Leverkusen, who got beat again today, 3-2 or something. Um,
Is
and
he on pens?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Vanaken would probably be on pens, but he's the
Okay.
striker. He's 5.5 million, and he's just been banging them in. Like he's
I
in
love that.
such such a hot streak. And what I
Who's
found
their
is,
second game? I'll check. Club Bruges, yeah?
yep,
Porto away. Who
it's not
knows?
the word.
No.
So I've gone with him because my thinking is obviously lots of people are going to want three premiums. So let's assume you've gone for with Lewandowski's first fixture. You go with him. You go with Benzema, and you go with Haaland. They're the three sort of big boys that you might go with. I'd rather. Would you rather have one of those and then a 5.5 million midfielder, or even probably a 5 million midfielder with the price how it would work, or go for Jutla and then like a De Bruyne, someone like that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you can, because there's so many premium forwards, isn't there? You've got the PSG boys, three of them. You've
Yeah,
got Lewandowski, you've got Haaland, you've got Benzema, you've got Kane. I think Kane is going to be overlooked like he is in FPL. I've had him in FPL every week. He's just consistently scoring. I'm just staying quiet. Captained
yeah.
him again to this week. He's just one of the great best strikers of our generation, and people are like, "Oh, he's rubbish. He's not deep." I'm like, "Are you joking? He's got nearly 190 Premier League goals now. Today, he just became the third greatest goal scorer in Premier League history, only behind Rooney and Shearer now. So it's just mental. The people just got. It's like people have just got used to him. Anyway, Tottenham start brilliantly, and if I'm building a team for 2 game weeks, Harry Kane's in there, 100%. He's my first striker in. Lewandowski's only in because they're playing Pleasant, a team I've basically never heard of. I know who they are, but as in they're, surely Barca will thrash them, even Barca. But yeah,
Lewandowski
that
scored again
third
today, I
slot.
believe.
Say again.
Lewandowski scored again today, I think.
Yeah. So he's fitted in well. He scored 2 the other day, didn't he, as well? So he's scoring.
Yeah.
And I think that third slot is up for grabs. I'm tempted, as you know, we've got 7 minutes left, by the way, before Zoom ends, but I'm tempted with Alvarez. Now, Alvarez, obviously, is quality. Obviously, we've already seen it. He scored 2 when he came on the other day. He's definitely, in the first 2 Champions League games, he's definitely going to get minutes. Whether he's going to start, okay, we don't know. But he's definitely going to get minutes. Haaland isn't going to play every game. We know that. It's been said, although he seems to keep coming on. But even if Haaland starts, Alvarez will come on in the Champions League. I'm pretty sure. Alvarez will be treated like a Mahrez. Pep has this thing, doesn't he? He has Champions League players. You've got Mahrez, who just smashed it in the Champions League last season. Always would play, pretty much. You've got Alvarez is going to be one of them. Jesus used to be one of them.
Yeah, Gundogan was one a couple of years ago.
Yeah. But Pep does this. This is what he does. And I think Alvarez is basically bought to be the Champions League player. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he starts against Sevilla, particularly because Haaland's just played 90 minutes against Villa and Alvarez is fresh. I don't think he's going to think that's weakening the team against Sevilla away. I think he trusts Alvarez massively and, hugely. So I'm tempted to go with Alvarez. The thing about Alvarez as well, for this first game week, is that he is a Tuesday player. So if it goes wrong, you just sub him out, and he's a punt. He's a punt. It would be my one punt, I think, if I went for him.
Yeah.
But it's between him, Timo Werner, because he's doing well at Leipzig. He's got 4 goals in 7 games. I know a hat-trick was in the cup or whatever, but still.
The hat-trick was against poor opposition, and anyone good, he's got 1 goal. But
RB Leipzig are playing someone poor.
True.
So
but not as poor as the team that they were.
Sure. But, Timo Werner, when he was at Chelsea, obviously he didn't score prolifically like he did before he came, but his goal and assists record is not that bad. He's got he got 30, 40, 50 goals and assists for Chelsea, So yeah, I don't know.
What I'd say is I think I like your Alvarez punt better because then you at least get more money to then add to your midfield and defence.
Yeah, but now you've convinced me of this guy. I don't even know who he is, but apparently he's on a hot streak, and I love that. What was his name again?
Yushkla begins with a J.
He sounds good. He sounds really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I enjoy. I'm like you. I just enjoy a bit of a punt,
Yeah.
and
You've got to have at least one punt. This game
Yeah.
allows you to have it if it's a Tuesday player.
He's not.
Okay, right.
It's a terrible. But I like my midfield. I like my defense. I like how everything else looks because of him
Yeah.
in there. And I believe he can score against Bayer Leverkusen. I believe anyone could score. I believe we could score against Bayer Leverkusen at the minute. They are not doing very well.
I think I'll go Alvarez. I think I'll go Alvarez.
Yeah,
And then it gives me 2 million more to probably upgrade the defense because I like my midfield now. I think it's the defense.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sticking with my 4.0 defender goalkeepers. I just think you can't.
Yeah.
In my head, I cannot see. It's like there's two things I'm certain about. Three things. Harry Kane is playing for me. Two, I'm going to let Limitless in in game week 3 because I think missing that opportunity with those fixtures is mental. And three, what was my third thing? The main one I was talking about.
4 million keepers.
4 million keepers, yes. Yeah. Those are the three things I'm certain of.
Ed, thanks so much for jumping on. Just want to tell everyone where you're at.
You can follow me on Twitter if you want. I mean, I don't normally do like Champions League podcasts and stuff, but I want to get into it more. I love it. You can follow me at _FantasyEd, or you can follow what I do, which is Fantasy Football Fest, which is it's an event where we talk about fantasy football, when we're trying to get more sort of areas of fantasy football, not just FPL involved as well. So let's get a little Champions League corner going at the next one.
Definitely. We'll be more than up for that. Ed, best of luck with the main event Champions League as well this season. Everyone, thanks so much for listening. We are the main event. You can find us at UCL Fantasy Pod. Jump on our profile. Our link tree is there with all of our socials. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you for the next one. Bye now.
Bye.